Kia ora, this is Kia ora Oz. Welcome to the channel. I'm Darren, and this is the continuation of a lap that my late wife Selena and I started in June of 2023. After her passing, I decided to continue the journey solo, safe in the knowledge that she will always be a part of my journey. Follow along and find out what it's like to travel this vast continent solo. Ka kite. Kia ora Oz, kia ora whānau, welcome to Coffin Bay. So this is the next in my series of videos on the Eyre Peninsula. There may or may not be a third one, but this is the second one. So rolled out of Tumby Beach yesterday and then into Coffin Bay, into a really nice site, just opposite one of the oyster farms. Walking distance to a vending machine that sells oysters. So guess what, oysters for dinner last night. And yeah, a nice site. So yeah, today I'm just going to take a quick run into Portlincoln, which is only half an hour away, to stock up on some supplies, and then I'll have a look around Coffin Bay. So there's a walk you can do around the foreshore called the Oyster Walk. So yeah, that's what I'll probably get up to today. Sam's fun fact. So by 1804 whalers had entered Coffin Bay and established a simple settlement. So there was a whaling station here originally. Then there was quite a large sheep station established by a guy by the name of Henry Horson around 1839. By 1848 there was a small settlement named Oyster Town in Coffin Bay, exploiting the vast supplies of oysters in the area. So wild growing oysters. The oysters harvested by up to 30 cutters were shipped to Adelaide via Portlincoln until they ran out and the town was abandoned. The oyster beds were closed for 7 of the 9 years between 1882 and 1891. By 1891, Oyster Town had effectively closed down. In the late 1960s, Pacific oysters were imported from Japan and Tasmania, and the local industry was established. Today, Coffin Bay oysters, Pacific oysters, are known internationally. There you go. I'm sure I'll find out more about oysters and oyster farming today as I walk around. Okay, so I'm going to clean up, finish the last of my washing, and then head out for today. This is my campsite. Not a bad little site. Drive through, easy to get into. And then this is the front of the park. It's just over the road there is Oyster HQ. And that, believe it or not, is an oyster vending machine, which I availed myself of yesterday. Morena, still in Coffin Bay. Yesterday I went out took a run to Portlincoln first, just to stock up at the Woolworths there. First Woolworths I've seen or been able to go to since Norseman. So you went and did that, and then I came back and just did what's called the oyster walk, which is a track running around the foreshore here at Coffin Bay. So yeah, that was pretty cool and beautiful little spot. Apparently the population here grows tenfold during the Christmas New Year period. It's such a popular place. So anyway, today I'm going to just go for a drive. It's not crash hot weather, it's overcast, a little bit cold this morning, but yeah, I'll take a drive around the other side of the bay and might call on to Gallipoli Beach. So Sam's fun fact, Gallipoli Beach here on the Eyre Peninsula is where they filmed the 1980s Gallipoli movie. Okay, so I think they call it a Gallipoli movie. Anyway, that's where it was filmed, because apparently the beach resembles Anzac Cove in Gallipoli. So that might be on the cards today. Anyway, clean up and get out of here. Wow, so this is Gallipoli Beach on the Eyre Peninsula. Like I said this morning, this is where they filmed the 1980 film Gallipoli, because of its resemblance to Anzac Cove. Now, I've never been to Anzac Cove, but if this is what they faced, or if it's similar to what they faced when they got off those boats in Gallipoli, it's a pretty daunting prospect, and I'm pretty sure you would have been overwhelmed when you got off the boats and had a look at what was in front of you. Beautiful coastline and crystal clear water. I'm actually contemplating whether I should have a swim or not, but I don't like swimming at isolated beaches by myself, to be honest. So, but look at the water, it's just sensational. The only problem with coming down to the beach is going back up. Morena. So heading out of Coffin Bay today and heading to Portlincoln, which is only really about half an hour away, so I've got some time to kill before I can get in there, but that's okay. Yes, I'm in Portlincoln tonight, Wednesday night and Thursday night, and tomorrow I've got a bucket list item to do, so anyway, I'll show you that tomorrow. Yesterday I went to Gallipoli Beach, interestingly enough. So it's one of the beaches about half an hour from here, about 4 kilometres of four-wheel drive track to get to it, but it's the site where they filmed the 1980 movie Gallipoli. Yeah, it was interesting. Certainly if the Anzac Cove, and I've never been there, is anything like what I saw at Gallipoli Beach, then when they pulled ashore in the boats back then, it would have been a significantly daunting task that would face them, and I'm sure they would have been daunted by the prospect of the cliff that sat in front of them when they landed. But that was beautiful coastline, awesome place, got a couple of good drone shots, so I'll put those up, or you will have already seen those rather. Okay, so yeah, off to Portlincoln, so I'm going to hook up and head off. Sam's fun fact, so as I've already alluded to, Coffin Bay used to be the site of very large natural oyster beds. and when settlers first arrived, that was pretty much the end of those oyster beds, and within a century, by the 1900s, they had depleted the oyster beds almost to extinction. But at the moment, they're trying to rejuvenate those oyster beds with artificial reefs and repopulating with the, now just let me tell you what they are. They are oh God, where are they? Angasi oysters, right? So they're trying to repopulate the original, just looking across the road, there's two bloody emus just sitting in front of people's houses. I've actually pulled out of the caravan park and just, anyway, I'll throw that up so you can see it. Yeah, so they're repopulating with the wild oysters. One of the benefits of that is that Angasi oysters are powerful filter feeders that can filter the water of an entire estuary in a matter of days. So they have a bit of a ecological superhero status. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to check everything and then bugger off to Portlincoln. I've set up camp at Portlincoln. Managed to snag a waterfront site, so this is my view for the next 3 days. Morena. So very early start this morning. I'm in Portlincoln. I rolled into Portlincoln yesterday, set up camp, really nice camp, right on the water, uninterrupted ocean views. And then this morning, an early morning, up at 5, grab a coffee and a shower and all that sort of stuff, and I'm now heading to Calypso Tours to head out on a shark cage dive. So yeah, heading 3 hours out to the marine park where they try and attract great white sharks, and then you get in a cage and have a look. So that's pretty exciting, a bit of a bucket list thing. Unfortunately, there haven't been very many shark sightings in the last week or so, so I'm hoping we get a shark. Otherwise, bit of a long trip to see some fish. So fingers crossed we get a shark today. And yeah, this tour company, so Sam's fun fact, this tour company is one of the, or is the only shark diving outfits in Australia. Oops. And they are the only ones that are allowed to bait sharks and attract them to the boat. So some rules that says, yeah, you got to have a license to do that. So anyway, fingers crossed we get a shark today. Signed in, signed the waiver, and just watching some of the fishing boats going out.
Is also one of our chief mates, is working in the galley today, but she's going to look after all of your dietary and appetite needs. You'll be as full as the good at the time she's here.
Here's the cage. Tuna nets in the shallow water where they get repaired, and the tuna nets with the live tuna in them are way out to sea. You can see them in the distance. But they go out and they catch the wild tuna, and then they bring them back in nets. They bring them back at swimming speed, so pretty slow, and they put them into their pens out on shore here, fatten them up, and then harvest them about June, July. Those are kingfish pens. Those guys that came out earlier this morning to do swimming with the sea lions first, and we're picking them up. as you've already seen yesterday, I headed out to the Neptune Islands on a cruise, or on a charter, to do cage diving with great whites. Now, before I left, I already knew that there'd been very few sightings in the last week of sharks, so that there was a high probability we wouldn't see any sharks. So although it was disappointing not to see any sharks while we were out there, it was still a great day on the water, and I did get, if you don't see any sharks, you get a voucher to of half the price to use again within the next 2 years. So it means I'll have to come back. Oh well. So yeah, headed out early morning, left here at 5:30, didn't get back till 8:30 last night, so it's a long day out on the water, but breakfast was served, they gave lunch and some hot snacks on the way back, the bar was open on the way back, all of that sort of stuff. So it wasn't a bad day, but it was disappointing not to see any sharks, although I was in the water for at least 40 minutes diving in the cage, and while they're throwing burley out and bait out, so the activity of the trevally was amazing. They were just going nuts over it, along with the seabirds on top. So that was my day yesterday. Today I'm just going to go in and have a look around Portlincoln basically. It's not real nice weather at the moment. It's a little bit windy and a little bit cloudy, but according to the bomb it should clear up later in the day, hopefully. But that's what I'm going to do today. Okay, Sam's fun fact. So great white sharks at Neptune Islands, which is where we were diving, was at the Neptune Islands. We actually parked up at South Neptune. So the sharks are nomadic animals, and so they're not resident in this place. They come and go, staying for anywhere from 1 to 6 or 7 days. Some return to the Neptune Islands the following year within a week of their previous visit, and the reason they know that is because they do a lot of tagging of sharks as well. Most of the great white sharks that they sight at the Neptune Islands only visit once per year for a period of 1 day to 100 days, but typically it's between 1 and 6 days. And some sharks visit multiple times per year. Over 20 great white sharks are fitted with acoustic tags each year as part of an ongoing study into their temporary residency and visitation patterns. So the other thing to note is that some of them come once and they never spot them again. So yeah, that's about it. Alright, so a somewhat disappointing day yesterday, but a good day out nevertheless. This is the Portlincoln foreshore, so a heap of pubs and shops and stuff behind me, and then the foreshore here. Today, so I'm heading to Tumby Bay, to an off-grid camp in Tumby Bay for a couple of nights, and then I'll be heading up to Cal. So yeah, yesterday was a pretty quiet day. I just went and had a look down at the waterfront, had some lunch down there, and then came back to the van and chilled for the rest of the day. I was a bit worn out, to be honest, from the day before. So anyway, yeah, so heading to Tumby Bay today. Okay, Sam's fun fact. So when I went out to see the sharks, as you will have already seen, the big nets out in the water where they house tuna, and yeah, where they house the tuna, sorry. Anyway, that's sort of referred to as ranching tuna. So the tuna industry in Portlincoln started back just after the Second World War with a lot of Croatian immigrants, and the traditional method of catching tuna, because the bluefin tunas are prevalent in the Great Australian Bight. So the traditional method was pole catching of the tuna, so that poles and lines. Then they started to do it using nets, and that spotter planes and all that sort of stuff, and that really decimated the tuna population. So the government brought in regulations and quotas in the 80s. So at that time, Dinko Lucan, quite a famous name in Australia, founder of Deakin Seafood, was ahead of his time. He hatched a groundbreaking idea of farming the bluefin tuna, an idea that would save the Portlincoln tuna industry. So using the purse seine method, a select number of fish are transferred to a net, with the remaining fish set free to continue their migration. The catch is then towed back to Portlincoln, where they are fed and put in those nets that I showed yesterday or the day before, and they're fed on a diet of premium fresh sustainable sardines. This allows for the smaller tuna to grow to a more marketable size, and for fishermen to harvest the fish when they are at their prime. The method doubled the fishermen's quota, as the limit on their catch was determined by the weight of the fish caught in the wild, and any weight gained in captivity was a bonus. So that Dinko Lucan's solution is now the internationally accepted method of bluefin tuna farming, and has been an incredible success story for the Portlincoln tuna industry. There you go. The other nets that were out there were kingfish, but they're hatched well, not on land, but they're hatched in hatchling ponds and then transferred out to those nets to grow before they're harvested. Alright, so clean up, hook up and get out. I'm set up in South Beach Camp, Tumby Bay. It's a bit windy out there, but beautiful little site. That's my view out the window. So I'm just going to go down and throw a rod in, see what I can get. A pot of dolphins out there. Morena. So yesterday I drove 40 minutes or so north to a place called Tumby Bay. Well, I'm about 10 kilometres short of the actual town of Tumby Bay, and I'm on the South Beach campsite in Tumby Bay. Awesome little spot, a bit windy, but anyway, that's the way it goes. Can't control the weather. Yesterday basically set up camp and had a look around and did a spot of fishing in the afternoon. Didn't catch anything of any consequence. And yeah, a nice little spot. So tomorrow I'll head out to a place called Cow. Sam's fun fact, so if I look out the sea, I can just make out some islands out in the out off the coast, and they are the Sir Joseph Banks group, an archipelago of about 21 islands, 18 to 21 islands. And they were named after Sir Joseph Banks, who was one of the sponsors of the investigators' trip to Australia by Flinders. And they're considered to be an important seabird breeding site. The islands, with the highest point on Spilsby of about 50 metres, they consist mainly of a granite base beneath limestone, and they're usually capped with calcrete or sandy soil. Revesby and Spilsby are the largest islands in the group. Spilsby Island is privately owned and continues to be grazed by sheep, as well as a few holiday cottages. So the only way to access them is by boat. Yeah, so I can just see them off in the distance. Anyway, today I'm just going to have a lazy day today and fish probably, and that's about all I'm going to do. But yeah, depends what the wind gets up to as well. Alright, so I'm going to end this video here, and yeah, so if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, it's free, give us a like, and make any comments. But yeah, we'll end the video here, and we'll see you in the next episode. Ka kite.